here we are today at part 2 of these complex and imaginary numbers. So these are called imaginary numbers. Here's what we did before. These are called imaginary numbers. Complex numbers are when you have a regular number and an imaginary number added or subtracted together. So here is our regular number. It doesn't have anything with it, also known as a constant. And this is our imaginary number. So if you have them both together like this, it is called a complex number. It's regular plus an imaginary. And we can combine these. We can add, subtract, multiply, and divide. So that's what we're going to do. Example 1 is to add 5 minus 7i and 2 plus 4i. We're going to add those two together. This is very simple. It's kind of like combining like terms. So these two, the regular numbers, we're going to add, and the imaginary numbers we're going to add. So let's do the blue real ones first. 5 plus 2 is 7, and the purple ones, negative 7i plus 4i. Negative 7 plus 4 is negative 3i. And that is all, ladies and gentlemen. Remember, we're just adding and subtracting. So let's do example 2. So this one and this one go together, and the two imaginaries go together. This one's a little tricky because it has a negative in between. So remember, you kind of have to distribute it a little bit. You're subtracting. So in the blue, we'll have 4 minus 3, which is 1. And then we have negative 8 minus negative 6, which is the same thing as negative 8 plus, because you have two negatives, one here, which makes it a plus. So negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2i. Don't forget your I there, or else they'll both just be regular numbers. We want to have one of them be imaginary. And example 3, our last one. Remember, the 4 and the negative 1 go together, and the 6i and 2i go together. And we're going to be distributing again because this is a negative. So 4 minus negative 1. This is the same thing as 4 plus 1, which is 5. And the purple, we have a 6i minus a 2i. 6i minus 2 is 4 plus 4i. Okay, so adding and subtracting is very, very simple. The multiplying and dividing is where it's gonna get a little tricky. Okay, so multiplying and dividing, this is going to be basically the distributive property. We're distributing because we're being multiplied. So here first, let's do the 2. The 2 goes here, and the 2 goes here. Okay, so 2 times 9, and then plus 2 times negative 3. So that's what's in blue. Distribute it out. The 2 goes to the 9, then the 2 goes to the negative 3. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot. It's negative 3i. Don't forget that negative 3i, like I almost did. Then here, we can do the purple. Oops. Okay, so the 4 goes in the purple. So first we have 4i times 9. Then we have 4i times negative 3i. Okay, so that's the first step, distribute. Now we can simplify. So let's start over here. 2 times 9 is 18. 2 times negative 3i, just treat it like a variable, is 2 times negative 3 is negative 6i. And plus 4i times 9. 4 times 9 is 36i. However, when we come over here, okay, I'm going to do it up here. We have 4i times negative 3i. So 4 times negative 3 is negative 12, and I times I is I squared, just like if we were doing it with a regular x. But I squared is something. What is I squared? Let's go back up to the very top of our notes from yesterday. I squared is -1. I squared is -1. So go back down, -12 times -1. Instead of writing I squared, write -1. So -12 times -1 is a positive 12. So here I'm going to write plus 12. The I goes away from that one because I squared is the same thing as -1. So here we combine like terms again. We have a constant and a constant, an imaginary and an imaginary. So let's combine those. For the regular numbers, the 12 and the 18, 12 plus 18 is 30. And the imaginaries, -6i plus 36i is, again, 30i. So that is how we divide or multiply those numbers. It's a lot, but we can do it. We have one more example of those. Let's start with the blue. It is 2, and it goes to the 3, and then it goes to the -2i. So 2 times 3 plus 2 times -2i. All I'm doing is distributing. Let me move it down a little bit. Now we do the purple. The -4i goes to the 3, and the -4i goes to the -2i. So -4 times the 3, -4i, plus the -4i going to the -2i. Okay, let's simplify. 2 times 3, 6. 2 times -2i minus 4i. -4i times 3 is -12i. And again, over here, let's do it up here in the corner. -4i times -2i. You have -4 times -2, which is 8. And then you have I times I, which is I squared. But remember, the I squared is equivalent to -1. So 8 times -1 is -8. So down here, put -8. And then we combine our like terms. 6 and -8, and -4 and -12. So we combine 6 and 8. 6 minus 8 is -2. Oh, I'll just do that in pink. -2. And -4 minus 12. The i's are going to be minus 16i. Okay, so that's multiplying. Now we're going to do some dividing. Multiplying with I. Now we're going to divide. So here's the problem. 2 plus I over 1 minus I. This is an issue because we cannot, over here in the highlight, we cannot have an I in the denominator. So what we're going to do is multiply by the conjugate. You guys don't know what conjugate is, but it's basically the bottom with, instead of a minus, a plus. So you just change the sign. Multiply the bottom and multiply the top. So the bottom gets multiplied by 1 plus I, and the top gets multiplied by 1 plus I. This on the top is going to be that distributing again. So 2 times 1 is 2. 2 times I is 2I. Then we do the other one. I times 1 is I. I times I is I squared. So that's the top. Let's see what happens on the bottom. I wrote a little note over here. It says this is the only time when we can just multiply the different parts, is on the bottom. This time we can just multiply the two 1's together to be 1 and multiply the negative I and the positive I. Negative times positive is negative. That's the only time we can do that. Every other time we have to distribute just like we did in the top. But on the bottom, we can just multiply it straight like that. Oh, I almost forgot. Negative I times positive I is I squared, because I times I is I squared. Don't forget about that. Okay, I see two things here. 1 I squared, 2 I squareds. I squared we know equals negative 1. So let's rewrite. 2 plus 2I plus I minus 1 on the top. And on the bottom, 1 plus 1, because we had two negatives. And we combine like terms. On the top, we have two i's and two constant terms. So we combine those. 2 minus 1 is 1. And the i's, 2i plus 1i equals 3i. And on the bottom, 1 plus 1 is 2. Here, we can either keep it like that or we can split it up. So if you wanted to split it up, it would be 1 over 2 and 3i over 2. All I did was take the 2 to the left and take the 2 to the right. So either of those two answers are correct. This was a very long problem. I will give you this one if you want to do it on your own. You can copy it down in your notebook and do it on your own, but I will not do that one with you because it's very long. But if you wanted to try it, the correct answer is 6i over 45 plus 12 over 45. And then you can simplify by dividing by 3 because all of those go into 3. And your final answer is 2i over 15 plus 4 over 15. So either of those two is correct. The top one's just not simplified. But like I said, you can try that on your own if you would like to, or you don't have to. But this is multiplying and dividing with complex numbers. Again, if you need help, please come to my teams.